Happy Friday and welcome back to another Money Not Math conversation. It is October 9th, 2020. Hope everyone is having a great week so far and has a great week. In today's Money Not Math conversation, I'm going to cover a topic I've covered in the past, but I've gotten asked this question multiple times in the last couple of weeks, so I thought it'd be valuable to cover again today. Should you pay off debt faster or save more sooner? All right, so again, should we save more sooner or pay off debt faster? This is an extremely important conversation because it's a good example of how money does not work necessarily the same way as math as we simply apply it. All right, so I'm going to share my screen and provide a couple of examples to you that I hope are valuable when it comes to making personal decisions for yourself and your personal finances. All right, so just to be clear, if you're ever debating paying off debt versus buying something new, paying off the debt is almost always going to be more efficient, all right, unless what you're buying is potentially going to create a return for you in the future because it's some sort of investment like a business or real estate or something like that, right? But the point is, if you're comparing paying off debt faster versus saving more sooner into vehicles that could create a return for you in the future, I just want to put out a couple examples for you to think about. And hopefully this will answer your thoughts when you're contemplating what you should do. So if you were to choose between person A, who has $50,000 in cash, we'll just say, or assets, and $50,000 in debt, versus person B, who has $0 cash and $0 debt, who are you going to choose, right? If we just simply look at net worth, both of their net worths are equal, right? Both net worths, if you pay off the cash or whatever, the net worth is equal. All right, so that's kind of a wash. But when we ask ourselves, if an unexpected life event comes, like COVID, or the stock market crashes, or you get sick or hurt and can't work, whatever it may be, if you have an unexpected life event and you need money fast, would you rather be person A, who can just go to their checking account or go to their account and pull the cash quick, or person B, who now has to go borrow money? All right, so most people, I personally would rather be person A, has liquidity, right? Or on the flip side, if an investment option came up, so whether it was to buy family land, buy a business, buy some sort of real estate, whatever it might be, if a wealth of creation event came up, would you rather be person A, who has the cash available, or person B, who has no cash at all? All right, so again, person A is probably in a more advantageous position. So that's where we have to understand concept one of the value of having access to liquidity, use, and control of your money, right? Access to capital. So that's extremely important when determining how you're going to build your wealth in the future, because it's really hard to know what opportunities might come up in the future, but I'm confident that opportunities will come. It all depends. The difference between people who take advantage of opportunities versus those who don't is who has access to capital. All right, so now we're going to talk about more specifically the difference between amortizing hopefully I'm spelling this right. If not, you can call me out. Amortizing versus compounding interest. All right, again, I know, like I said, I've talked about this in the past, so if you're a loyal follower of my content, this will be repeat, but it'll hopefully still be valuable. And if you've never watched any of my videos before, this will be valuable. Amortizing, I didn't spell that right. Amortizing. All right, so let's just use a common home loan. All right, so let's say you have a $200,000. I've used that number in the past, but we'll do it again. Let's say you have $200,000 loan on your house. All right, so your mortgage, and a 5% interest rate, which is pretty high right now if you got a loan recently, but let's just use 5% because it's easy. Over 30 years or 360 months, all right? Over 360 months or 30 years on a $200,000 loan, you're going to have a monthly payment of $1,073.64, not including your insurance and things like that. So total payment, you're gonna have $387,000 of total payment and $187,000 of interest. All right, so this is what the bank's gonna show you as far as what your interest looks like, and that's the kind of the scary thing about interest, is you see how much you're gonna have to pay compared to the normal loan. It almost doubles your total payments. So if we transfer that information, all right, we have, what did I say? On your debt, you're going to have a total of 300 and I'm just going to round these numbers, $387,000 of total payments, with 187,000 of that being interest. And the reason for that is because the way amortizing interest works is when we look at amortizing interest, and if you're watching my podcast, I'll try to say as many of these numbers as I can because I know you can't see this. You're listening to a podcast, not watching a video. In the first year or the first month that you make a payment, of your $1,074 payment, $833 of that goes to interest and only $240 goes to principal, which is why it takes so long to pay off the loan, right? So what our option is here is we can say, okay, well, what if we were to apply an extra we'll just say easy numbers, an extra $500 a month towards paying down my loan sooner. All right, so now you have your $1,074 plus your $500 payment, therefore making your payments a month being $1,574. And your total payment goes from $387,000 down to $285,000, making your total interest only $85,000 and saving a whole $101,000 and paying off your debt 178 months earlier. So now it only takes you, well, 360 divided by 178, just to make sure I don't do the math wrong, 360 minus 178, that only takes you 182 months to pay off your debt. All right, so let's put that in context here with my previous example. Now, instead of paying it off in 360 months, now you're going to pay off your loan in 182 months. And now instead of paying $387,000 in total payments, now your total payment is $285,000 of total payments. And therefore you saved $101,000 saved. All right, so off the top right there, again, if you're comparing spending versus saving, or spending versus paying off debt faster, no doubt paying off the debt faster is a better idea. Rather than having 360 months of payments, you only have 182. Rather than paying $387,000 for your $200,000 house, you only pay $285. Right? So overall, that's what we see, or that's the value of paying off debt faster. But when asking the question of should I pay off my debt faster or save more earlier, it's quite interesting when we look at the value of compounding over time, because what we have to understand about amortizing interest is it starts out fast, but then the amount of interest you have to pay decreases, whereas compounding starts out slow and then it accelerates. So if we use those same numbers, all right, if we take that extra $500 and rather than paying off your loan faster, we save for, what was it, 182 months, I believe I said. Yep, 182 months. And if we get that same interest rate, which I know is not guaranteed, but if we just get that same interest rate, we could grow our money to $136,000. All right. Oh, change my color here. So rather than saving an extra $500 a month, or rather than paying down debt extra $500 per month, if instead we saved an extra $500 a month, instead of having $101,000 of savings, we could have $136,000 of growth, which is about $35,000 more, which is also, if you put that into context, 35,000 more than 101 is about 35% more efficient. All right, so that's a very simple example of compounding versus amortizing. Is in that 182 months, which if we divide 182 by 12, that's about 15 years, right? So we're almost comparing a 30-year mortgage versus a 15-year mortgage. Over that 15-year period, would you rather save $101,000 in interest or grow $136,000 in wealth, right? And keep in mind that wealth's going to keep growing faster and faster and faster and faster as time goes on. So if we just bring that down, let's say we only get 4% in growth. We still have $125,000 in growth. Let's say we only get 3% over that 15 years. We still have $115,000. Let's say we get 2% growth. We still have $106,000 of growth. 1%, now we're down to 98. So theoretically speaking, what this says is you would only need, so if we get 2%, change my color up a little, or if we just get, or this is at 5%, at only 2% growth, we would have $106,000, all right? So what this basically says is that if you're comparing paying off your debt of 5% debt versus growing your money at 2%, the 2% growth still is better over a 15-year period than paying off the 5% debt, which I think is, when you compare amortizing versus compounding, is absolutely amazing. So it's not apples to apples. The 5% don't wash out. It's literally, if you go 5% growth versus 5% debt, you're going to have about 35% more growth. If you go 5% debt versus 2% growth, it's almost equal, but the 2% still wins. So hopefully this conversation brings you value. Like I said in the beginning, we always have to understand the value of having access and use and control of our money. And from even a mathematical standpoint, we have to understand the difference between compounding interest versus amortizing interest, because even if you have a 5% debt, it's still more efficient to save, even if you only get 2% growth. All right, so hopefully today's conversation brought you value. Please let me know if you have questions, thoughts, comments, concerns about what I said, or if it's unclear, or if you completely disagree. I still appreciate you reaching out. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for your time today. I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great weekend. Thanks. Bye.